President Putin with a now familiar warning to the West, saying in a television interview, if Washington approves Ukraine's use of long-range weapons, it will be at war with Moscow. But in the new year, the Russian leader will contend with a new US president, and who it is matters deeply to the Kremlin.
That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president.
Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine.
Not surprisingly, the US election is getting lots of attention on Russian state media. NBC watched hours of coverage of this week's debate. One segment was devoted entirely to Taylor Swift's endorsement of Vice President Harris. Another spent 5 minutes looking at post-debate memes. But some may be surprised that some commentators told their Russian audience that Kamala Harris had won. Former President Trump was undisciplined and overconfident, said this host, who has been indicted by the US for allegedly violating sanctions, a claim a Russian government spokesperson has denied. The Kremlin says it is not taking sides, and Russian state media is reflecting that government line. But on the streets of Moscow today, our team found a very different view.
Трамп же это наш русский. Я думаю, что Трамп.
Most ordinary Muscovites told us they think Trump will be better for Russia. Though one woman called Trump unpleasant and said she is rooting for a female president. Russians' opinion of the US elections are most of all influenced by the war in Ukraine. Trump is our guy. He promised to put an end to the war sooner, this woman says. The US data analytics company Filter Labs studies Russian state media as well as social media and channels used by many Russians like Telegram.
Russians in general are closely following our elections, and they know far more about Donald Trump, and the volume of discourse on Trump in Russian media and social media dwarfs that of Harris.
They sort through thousands of posts using AI as well as Russia experts. Their findings echo what Russians have told us.
One thing that we saw particularly over the last few weeks was this surge of support for J.D. Vance in Russia because of the perception, seems rightly so, that he is going to be more critical towards the U.S. support of Ukraine.
Another view expressed by Russians and the Russian government alike is that it doesn't matter who wins. America's next president will be working to solve the problems of their own country, says one, though even that view fits with Russian government talking points. This week, its foreign ministry spokeswoman compared America to the Titanic. Does it matter who won the debate, she asked? They're 15 minutes from the iceberg. That is what the Kremlin hopes for. Its continuing focus on American politics suggests it knows it may be disappointed.
And Kier Simmons joins us now. Kier, this is just eye-opening, important reporting. The Biden administration today accused Russian state TV of waging, quote, covert information warfare around the world, and they announced more sanctions. What can you tell us about that?
Well, yes, that's right. Once again, the Biden administration accusing the Russian network RT of really being an arm of Russian intelligence. It's already indicted two RT workers, two RT producers, accusing them of funneling $10 million towards an internet operation in the U.S. with the aim, it appears, of trying to influence American voters before the election. I guess, Edison, what makes it surprising what we've seen inside Russia in that context is that some of the reporting inside Russia is fairly straightforward. It's simply saying what is happening in the election. Except, as I said in that report there, when it comes to Ukraine, at that point, the opinions shift very, very hard towards any US politician who is prepared to even give a glimmer, if you like, that they might be soft on Ukraine, if you want to call it that. And as I said in the piece, that does reflect the views of the Russian people. Certainly what we know from polling about what the Russians think, what ordinary Russians think, is that while they would like the war in Ukraine to be over, they do not want to see Russia defeated in Ukraine.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.